Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, the altcoins continue to rally as Bitcoin cools off. Ethereum right now is trading at $3,737. You look at its chart and it is showing a lot of strength. And what's very interesting is that the ETH versus Bitcoin chart, that is showing a lot of strength as well. Here, Matthew Hyland says the ETH Bitcoin weekly closes confirms end to the downtrend and the start of the uptrend. So what we've often talked about in the past is that Bitcoin will pump, it will become overbought, and then liquidity starts rolling down to ETH, the large caps, the mid caps, and the small caps. And what we've seen is that these altcoins outperform Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin's not hitting new highs. It's that these altcoins are making bigger gains from their lows to their highs, right? And often traders and people who are investing and looking at the minutia of all these things, they're looking to get the biggest returns as possible. Now, I don't go through that tedious process. I do obviously diversify, so some of my coins are going to outperform others, and that's fine. My goal is to make as much money as possible without a lot of risk, right? So I do more of the spot trading. So I buy spot in the bloody bear market and hold to sell in the euphoric blow up top phase. I don't use leverage and things along those lines. So folks, this is a very good sign. And as we've discussed in the previous podcast, when Ethereum is doing good and it's showing a lot of strength and there's a lot of liquidity behind it, that's very good for the rest of the altcoins. This is what we've seen historically. And keep in mind that a lot of coins in the market are built on Ethereum. They're ERC20. So this is very good for the continuation of the bull market and for us to see the rest of the altcoins to start really taking off. If you caught my interview with Caleb Frenzen recently, he talked about how a lot of the dominance that Bitcoin lost is going to Ethereum and XRP, not so much the rest of the alts. Now, it will catch up to the rest of the alts, but Ethereum and XRP have been stealing the show. So a very good sign here, even if you don't hold ETH, that we are starting to see liquidity and strength here, and this is very good for the rest of the market. Now, speaking of XRP, it is currently trading at $3.47, consolidating after a very strong run up. It outperformed Bitcoin and Ethereum this past week, but now Ethereum is catching up. So XRP has been a leader in this rally. And as I've stated many times before, Solana was the leader in 2023 into early 2024, but then XRP took that mantle later in the year. So we're going to watch XRP closely because it has been holding up very well in comparison to what the other altcoins have been doing. And similar to Ethereum, the XRP Bitcoin chart is also seeing a breakout showing tons of strength. So very, very good, folks. They're outperforming Bitcoin. And remember, rotational liquidity, eventually all this liquidity will go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin will pump again to the next highs and then rinse and repeat until the blow off tops. So things are looking very good here, folks. But as always, you have to be patient. Nothing goes up in a straight line. You're going to have moves. They're going to hit certain resistance levels. They're going to consolidate, find support levels, then break out and break through the resistance. So it's just market cycles playing out. But the macro thesis is we are still in a bull market, and we're going to talk a bit about what are the metrics that we need to continue to watch. Now, what's interesting, you got some legacy coins like Litecoin starting to wake up. Very good sign, right? These are coins that don't have major utility, major narratives out there. Litecoin, let's be honest, is one of those what they would call dinosaur coins. Doesn't mean it can't run, clearly, right? Right now it's at $117. You look at its chart, it's back over the 200-day moving average. It's in the overbought zone, and it's got some big green candles on the chart here. So this is very interesting. And many of you know I got some Litecoin from the previous bull market cycles where I bought like in 2018, 2017-ish. So I had gotten the coins pretty cheap. So I'm happy to see the price going up, and I'll certainly be cashing out some Litecoin as the top comes in. But obviously, it has work to do to get back to its old all-time high, which was about, let's see, what was it, over $400? Yeah, over $400. So it's got some work to do here, but this is a very good sign if you're holding altcoins that are further down the list, right? Liquidity is starting to rotate. And even if a coin doesn't have the biggest narrative out there, it's still getting some of that liquidity. Every dog has its day in this market. Now, there was some big news around Litecoin over the past couple of days, but not significant where it's like, oh my God, everybody's turning bullish, right? And here's the news. MEI Pharma, MEI, raises $100 million to launch a Litecoin Treasury strategy, becoming the first publicly traded company to hold Litecoin. So a couple of things here, right? Remember, I've been telling you guys, it will go beyond Bitcoin, right? It starts with Bitcoin, similar to the ETF. It starts with Bitcoin for the corporate treasury, and they will go to other altcoins. Now, I'm very surprised that Litecoin is being adopted because we saw Solana, Ethereum, XRP being adopted, and those are in the top 5 and 6, very liquid. Litecoin is further down the list. So there seems to be a bit of a bubble forming here for these corporate treasury strategy situations. Now, I'm not against this. I believe that these companies should certainly hold some crypto. Which ones, though? That's the risky part. And are they putting themselves in a lot of debt to be able to buy these assets? So this is why I've been saying, come the bear market, we're going to see who is going to be able to survive. You know, there's a saying in the market, I don't know if it's Warren Buffett, when the tide goes out, you see who's swimming naked, right? So this is why if you are planning to take profits, you need to have a plan and start executing that as we get near the top, because there will be a bear market. We've seen bear markets throughout the history of markets, right, folks? Liquidity doesn't always stay at the top. We've seen this time and time again. And whether it's real estate, the stock market, and much more, they all correct. So understand these cycles. But this is interesting. And Litecoin, for all you Litecoiners out there, good to see some price movements, right? And like I said, I got a little bit in my portfolio that I've been holding for a while, but this is a very good sign, folks. Even if you don't hold Litecoin, liquidity is starting to move its way throughout the market. The total 3 market cap, this excludes Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins. Also consolidating, this is a representation of the majority of the altcoins in the market. So obviously, we've been seeing a lot of growth and strength here. Bitcoin dominance currently at near 61%, but it looks like it's about to do a little bit of a reversal. Like I've been saying, right, that it's in the oversold zone, like really bad. It's in the red here versus how these other assets like XRP, Ethereum are in the overbought. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't rally a bit more before, a true reversal, but just heads up, right? Just expect it. There could be a big cool down for a lot of these assets. And in addition, USDT tether dominance also in the oversold zone. So you could see a bit of a cool off here from the going down essentially, and a bit of a reversal. So this is where we're going to have to be patient and just watch it closely. But folks, as mentioned earlier, the macro thesis of the bull market is still intact. All of these risk assets, crypto, stocks, precious metals, and much more, following global liquidity. As I've been saying, global liquidity looks like it's topping out in late October, early November. So we're going to have to watch this close. If it bounces and keeps going higher, or that is it, because that will show us the top of the market there. Now, this is not a perfect science here, right? We're using it as a measuring stick, and so far it's been playing out to a T. In addition, like I said, the other markets are going crazy and making new highs, like the stock market. So it's all following global liquidity. So we're going to have to watch this closely as we head into late Q3 and early Q4. And from an Elliot wave standpoint, using the total crypto market cap, you can see the 5th wave is not completed. Now there's waves within waves. I know that this can be confusing if you don't understand the Elliott wave analysis here, but we're in the 3rd wave, and then we can expect a 4th wave correction, then a move to the blow off top 5th wave. So this is something to keep in mind. And from the higher time frame, we are in a macro 5th wave. So this is the year of the blow up top, essentially. So there's other models like Fibonacci and so forth that validate this. And like I said, global liquidity as well. And then you look at the timeline of bull markets and what we've seen historically, things are playing out according to plan here. So once again, if you are planning to take profits, make sure you have a plan to execute that. And further confirmation that we have additional upside, Bitcoin whales with wallets of 10 or more Bitcoin, they continue to accumulate. So they're not dumping, they're not exiting the market. When this number starts going the other way, downtrend, that's where I'm going to be sounding the alarm on here and be like, guys, the whales are exiting. Watch out, know what you're doing, because this thing could be wrapping up soon. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. Folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Uphold. Uphold is a great crypto platform I've been using since 2018. You can buy, sell, and stake your crypto assets on Uphold. They have 300 plus cryptocurrencies. They offer staking on 20 plus crypto assets. Now, I've never had any issues with Uphold since I've been using them for years. I've interviewed the CEOs, the founders, and the CFOs, and many more. So I trust this platform. They are 100% reserved. They don't commingle or lend out your crypto funds. And folks, they have a great rewards program where you can earn up to 5.25% on stablecoins. And this rewards program also allows you to get early access to new tokens that they list. And the stablecoins they support include Ripple's RLUSD, where you get 5%, and USBC, where you get 5.25%. And to participate, you simply have to open the app once per month, deposit $50 once per month, and trade $50 once per month. So pretty straightforward. Once again, Uphold, a platform I trust and use. So if you'd like to learn more about Uphold, check out the links in the description. Now, check out this news, folks. Japan's Aplus credit card now turns reward points into crypto, including XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. The on and off ramps being built globally, folks. Crypto being integrated into things you wouldn't even think of, right? Reward points and all kinds of things, borrowing and lending. It's amazing. This is the adoption we've been waiting for many years, and we're seeing it happen globally. And as I've often said, this is the first truly global asset class because it trades 24/7 on the blockchain, verifiable, instant settlement. And you just need an internet connection and a smartphone, and you can access it. You can buy a fraction of Bitcoin, some XRP, Ethereum, and so on and so forth. So pretty incredible stuff. This is interesting. I just thought I should share it with you. Donald Trump just this evening shared on Truth Social a video of Bitcoin being explained, and it says the greatest Bitcoin explanation of all time. It's just so surreal because we're in this bull market and the president of the United States is tweeting out a video about what is Bitcoin. And it's like, my gosh. And once again, if you hate Trump, that's not the point, right? Some people love Trump, some people hate Trump. The point is adoption. I've often talked about, I look at penetration into society, pop culture, and crypto's become ubiquitous. It's everywhere now, right? So to have the president of the United States just randomly on a Sunday evening tweet out a video about Bitcoin, explaining Bitcoin is just fascinating, but also very bullish and shows where we're at in the market. And as you can imagine, the people who follow Donald Trump and are fans of his who don't know about crypto, they're going to be introduced in this way, right? So I hope you see what's happening here and how all this is going to culminate to higher prices and greater adoption. So exciting times ahead, folks. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. A great way you can support me and the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free. It's available on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you every aspect of crypto. Check it out, mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.